Get ready.
Get ready for what now?
It starts with the Russos, because it is a family affair for them.
And that's the key. We are family.
You know I never got to say goodbye to you.
The story coalesced around these powerful family relationships.
It's all anchored in a brother and a sister.
Welcome back to State Secrets, the podcast that brings you behind the scenes of the Russo brothers' newest film, The Electric State, coming to Netflix on March 14th. I'm your host, Francesca Amaker, and today we're diving deep into one of the film's core themes, family. In episode 2, Family Secrets, we'll explore how the central relationship between Michelle, played by Millie Bobby Brown, and her brother mirrors the film's broader themes of connection and resilience. We'll also take you behind the curtain to see how the bonds among the cast and crew grew throughout the filming process. From the Russo brothers' own Italian family roots to the powerful performances by Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, this episode reveals how family, both real and fictional, became the beating heart of the Electric State. Let's kick things off by hearing from the visionaries themselves, Joe and Anthony Russo. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is when Ethan Skate, Stanley's character, he is sitting at a table. His mother is making cannolis for him.
Day old?
2. And I thought it was so touching.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my mouth drops.
My Angele, such a funny boy. Such a funny boy.
I want to talk about those bonds of family and why that was highlighted more so in this film for you all.
I think from the beginning, the story felt like a fairy tale to us. So we really wanted to play into those very elemental aspects of a fairy tale. And you often see, people being orphaned in fairy tales or losing people they love, these very high dramatic stakes. And I think that's really why the story coalesced around these powerful family relationships, because when you're watching a story or listening to a story, you just innately ascribe so much power to those kind of relationships. And that was something we wanted to use as kind of a bedrock for the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's critical to this movie, right? This idea that the loss of family members can motivate trauma. And two of the lead characters, one being Millie's character, Michelle, and the other being Stanley's character, Ethan Skate, both react differently to that trauma. Millie's character goes on a journey of acceptance of that loss and then turning that into love for other people.
Look around. There's someone near you right now. They're real and alive, and they need you as much as you need them.
And Stanley's character, Ethan Skate, goes on a journey to disconnect and to disappear into a false reality. So they go on opposite journeys in the film, and the question is, whose point of view is going to win out at the end?
Part of the thrill of this movie, was it's the first time and only time we have worked with a teenage female protagonist, lead of the film.
You're a kid.
You're a genius.
Yeah, I am.
We've designed a film and a story around a teenage girl. And so working with Millie on that, and both of us have daughters.
Yeah.
So it's a special opportunity for us. And working with Millie on that was really special. She's a very talented actress for her age, for any age, but especially in somebody that young. She's had an immense amount of experience. This was a really high degree of difficulty.
Very difficult
She's
character
spending
to play.
most of the movie with a robot that can't communicate properly, who she's trying to draw out.
Come in. Come in. Do you read me?
No more catchphrases. No more Cosmo bullshit. You died, and now you're here. How did this happen?
We love Millie. I mean, Millie is part of the family now.
This was your first time working with her.
We've known her for years. We actually met her on the set of Avengers Infinity War, I believe. And so my daughter and she became friends. They're a very similar age. And we've stayed in close contact. And then we finally found a great opportunity to work together. And this was the perfect movie for it.
brothers working together, creating iconic films.
Yeah.
I imagine a collaborative process between brothers can sometimes include going at it or bickering or what have you.
I mean, it's almost like high school debate club, right? Like we literally get in a room and we'll throw an idea out there and, we either agree upon it immediately or if we disagree, we start pushing to farther extremes because we want to stretch the idea and test the idea. And usually out of that process, we believe we come out with what we think is the best idea for all of us as collaborators.
Yeah.
And rarely does everyone agree. And I think that's a good thing because we can stress test the concepts. We're really getting to the kernel of what it is that excites us about it.
Also, we grew up in a large Italian-American family, so we know how to yell at each other with love. So,
Is that what it is?
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I want to know, take me to the set, the camaraderie on the set.
I mean, that's the key, right? We've worked with the same crew for over a decade. It's our work family. Everyone loves each other. Everyone has fun together. If you're going to leave your spouses and your children and the people you love, you want to go be with people you love during the day. And we love working with good people.
Yeah, I want to know some little stories that would take place on set. How did you all bond? How did you come closer together? I mean,
Look, movies are hard to make, and it sounds funny to say because it's, there's certainly other jobs on the planet that are much harder, but they're hard. They're long hours. The whole thing is based on this idea of a large group of people coming together with a lot of resources and a lot of real estate. So you have to make it fun for people. Like you want everybody bringing their best selves to work every day. Sometimes people have to leave their families for long periods of time in order to work on movies. So you really want to create an environment that is like emotionally fulfilling to people, as well as creatively fulfilling and financially fulfilling. So that's really like the environment we try to create.
You know what?
I heard
Yes.
you guys were making pasta together.
Oh, that's
Stanley was inviting folks over his house.
We
What
have
was
Pasta
going on?
Fridays. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Stanley. He's not only one of the great actors in the world,
Mankind needed a leap forward. I just showed it where to jump.
he's also one of the great chefs. Yes.
And I heard you're a foodie.
I'm a complete foodie. Yeah, I don't waste a meal, I'll tell you that. What was fun about this one is that we actually had competing pastas. I don't know if you remember this, but Stanley cooks an amazing pasta. And Luca, who does hair on set, is Italian. And his family has a recipe that's been passed down through the generations that might be one of the best rigatoni dishes you'll ever eat in your life. So every time we get Luca on set, we beg him to go use the kitchen in our trailers, and we do Pasta Fridays, and it's fantastic.
Now that we've heard from Joe and Anthony Russo about the importance of family within the Electric State, let's bring in another Russo perspective, their sister and producer on the film, Angela Russo-Otstadt. And she has a very unique view on how family not only anchors the film's story, but also extends to the atmosphere on set. Angela shared with me how the Russo family bond shapes both the filmmaking process and the cast and crew's experience, making the set feel like this family of its own. As a producer, I feel like you put out a lot of fires, right? Tell me some of those production challenges that you all face. She's laughing. Uh-oh.
Well, no, I think here's the beauty of the team that we're privileged to work with here at Agbo. It's really like working with a family. And I giggle because a lot of, the fun for me comes in working with my actual family, who are my brothers, who are directing the film. And it's a lot of fun to work with two people that you love, but that you also admire as creatives is, a gift. And so considering how big this world is and how many people came together to collaborate across it, it was one of the most seamless productions ever. Yeah.
That's a dream, I want you to go deeper in that for us. What is that like for you to be on set with your brothers?
I mean, look, it's so funny when people see that the three of us work together, we get one of two answers. They either say, I could never work with my sibling, or they say, I would give anything to work with my sibling. Luckily, we sit in the latter category. They're so interesting because they're very different. And I think that's one of the great contributors to their success is they bring a very specific style and approach to everything that they do. And those styles and approaches complement each other really well. And the fortunate thing for me is that I sit squarely in the middle of both of them in that regard. So sometimes I like lean a little this way with Joe, or I lean a little this way with Anthony, and I know which brother to go to for whatever need I have, which is super helpful. It's like a built-in shorthand. Yeah.
That is so funny because it's just cute with Joe and Anthony. They'll sometimes argue their way to a solution until they get to a common ground. Are you in on those?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the fun of it though, is we're able to cut through it with each other. We also joke that there are not a lot of boundaries. Work and family just do this all the time. So we'll be together at family dinner, but then hey, I had this idea, and bounce it back and forth.
The theme of family.
Yeah.
There's so much of that in the film. How does this play into The Electric State?
Well, I think what's so interesting about this big, expansive world that's a complete reimagining of our history is that it's all anchored in the relationship of a brother and a sister. And what I love about their relationship in particular is that she sees in him a distinct purpose, and she pushes him toward that.
That professor said he's never seen scores like yours. You could change the world.
And I think that gets repeated throughout the film with other characters. And that's what ends up making them a found family, is that, as a community that comes together, they begin to push each other toward what it is that they are capable of doing that they may not have recognized within themselves.
The treaty doesn't allow you to stay. That doesn't mean I can't help you leave.
I thought we were the enemy.
Could be the human factory made some good models after all.
Thank you.
Well, I was talking to her.
It's a story of grief, but finding hope through grief and understanding that connections will last forever. And I think that that's, it's really lovely. And at the end of the film, Michelle is becoming a champion and advocate for the robots.
The things Center did, they weren't just bad for robots. They were bad for all of us.
So it's just a nicer cycle.
I love how you painted that picture. Again, there were families on set, is what I'm learning.
Yeah.
Take me to moments of you all bonding.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's the beauty of any set that Anthony and Joe work in, to be honest. And we do things off of set together and get together, all the time on the weekends. And it extends through, the post process as well. And I love that everybody on this film not only has such care for the film, but true respect and care for each other.
Okay, so I love talking to all of the Russos about how their own family experiences shaped the film's heart and soul. Now let's turn to the two people who brought that family story to life on screen, Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. I got a chance to sit down with them to hear their thoughts on The Electric State's powerful family themes and get an inside look at the family bonds that formed behind the scenes. Here's what they had to say about how those connections influenced their performances both in front of the camera and on set.
First of all, it starts with the Russos because it is a family affair for them. You got two brothers, but they've got all of these other members of their family that are part of Agbo and part of their company, and
their crew.
And their
like
crew.
They bring their crew.
Chris Castaldi, our AD department, our camera department. Like we've got an incredible vibe, and it's like a circus. You're on the road. You are put into the crucible of a collaborative creative process, and you grind out 15-hour days. And you're right in the thick of it, and everyone's sort of like sacrificing so much to be there. And it just accelerates the bond building between friends, and you make relationships just like in a summer camp that you're like, at the end of this thing, I'm never gonna forget this. This was the greatest summer of my life. We gotta be in touch, we're best friends forever. And then like the circus moves out of town, and then you kind of go back to your life, and it's like, wow, it feels like a little bit like a dream. And then again, you see one another on the press tour, you pick up right where you left off. It's a really magnificent thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's in the nature of filmmaking, but also especially with the Russos. Yeah. And they really set the tone.
Millie, how did you all build that brother-sister relationship that was undeniable?
Honestly, that just happened naturally. I can't force anything. So, I'm just who I am. And sometimes, of course, I'm a lot of energy. So I thought sometimes, I'll tone myself down to meet my new co-stars, especially someone who you're working with for the next 4 or 5 months. You're like, okay. But the second I saw him and he was like, hey, and he acted as if he had known me my whole life, I was like, this is the energy I bring. And so it was really welcoming and warming and exciting for me, because I went home that night and I remember saying to my husband, I was just like, he acted as if we were already best friends. It was like a safe space for me to be able to be myself. And then I immediately was like, the next 5 months is going to be a joy.
You all really lit up the screen. One of my questions for you, I go ahead and talk about the brotherly relationship between you and Christopher. How did you build that connection when most of the time the actual boy, Christopher, your brother, wasn't even there? He was in a robot.
I think it's just like, one, I'm an actor, so make it work.
Yep.
Two, it's very, very easy when you have such an amazing mocap actor. So I had Devin, who really strangely, Devin and I worked together when I was 9 years old on a TV show in Canada. And then our paths crossed again and she was like, I'm gonna be playing Cosmo. And it actually became more of a sisterly bond. So I had a really easy job to work alongside her. And her performance was unbelievable and it drew out a lot of emotion in me.
No.
We can team up. We can defeat the rock monster.
Why are you here?
We can team up. We can team up.
Put it back.
We can team up. We can team up.
Put it back.
We can team up. We can team up.
Millie Bobby Brown's character, Michelle, forges a connection with her brother in robot form, and it's absolutely integral to the story. That's where motion capture choreographer Terry Notary stepped in, using his expertise to bring these mechanical family members to life. Let's hear how he crafted that sense of connection in the film.
Now, so many people do not know what motion capture is and what a movement choreographer even does on a set. So what did you do on The Electric State?
Well, I helped cast the team that plays all the robots on the film. And then we went through a whole workshop period where we learned how to be robots first, and then went over the script and just got the acting chops out and became a family, really. Just really kind of bonded and created this little tight-knit group that could play against, Millie and Chris. So it was really fun. It was cool.
The thing about you, Terry, is that you're very positive with your work, which I love. But I have to go there. I want to ask you, what was the biggest challenge for you where you were like, oh my gosh?
The biggest challenge was probably casting and really picking the right team. So I had to pick this family that I was going to be living with for 7 months. There's always these little fights that go on in a family, and that happened in this family as well. So you get that drama, and you have to sort of be the father and be the person who talks sense into them. Make sure they understand that both sides are really right, but we have to come together. And it's like,
right.
I mean, when you get that close, you start really pouring yourself out, and then all the pretense goes away, and you have to fight, and then make up, and then you're really close. So that was the biggest challenge. It worked out really well. It did. It worked out really well.
It's funny. You're talking about like making up and like being close, and I don't even know if you're talking about within the movie or on set, because it's that closely related.
That's right. You create that family, and then it kind of bleeds out when you're together in the film.
If we all went to center together, we could shut them down permanently.
Oh, I like the way she thinks.
And it wasn't just the characters forming family bonds on screen. The cast and crew formed a true work family behind the scenes. So to share what it was like to be a part of this close-knit crew, let's hear from some of the team members about the special connections they built on set. Joining me now, Chris Castaldi, producer and first AD on The Electric State.
Thanks for having me. I feel very fortunate to be working with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, who I've had the pleasure of working with many times before, both of them. So putting them together was like having a family. I felt like Chris is a brother, Millie's a sister, and every day was family playing in the backyard.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm joined by Patrick Newell, producer of The Electric State. Patrick, you're balancing every hat in this film.
Yeah. What's so great about making a movie with the Russos is that people care for each other. A lot of us have been working with them for years, and that makes the whole thing special. My oldest daughter said to me, Dad, when you started working on this, I was turning 16 and now I'm 19. And it kind of hit me. I was like, wow, you've grown up, and she worked on this. And that was a really cool experience to have my daughter helping out as a PA. And you walk away on their movies a really good kind of feeling and a respect for your colleagues. The whole collaborative process has been just incredibly wonderful, and I'm very, very thankful to be part of the team.
Beautifully said, Patrick. You mentioned family, that being one thing that jumped out at you on set, but family is what also jumped out to me as one of the major themes in The Electric State.
Well, I hope, in a lot of ways, this movie will, touch people on a very emotional level. It speaks to the kids, but also speaks to the adults. It's a story about family, about love, about giving it all up to find your brother and the risks that you would take to save your family. So I hope when people see the movie that they walk away having an incredibly satisfied feeling and that they want to see it again.
And there you have it, from the Russo brothers' real-life family influences to the powerful performances by Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, and the way the entire cast and crew bonded behind the scenes. The Electric State is not just a story about a dangerous journey set in a retro-futuristic world, but about finding family in unexpected places. Thank you to all our guests for joining us today. And this has been episode 2 of State Secrets, Inside the Making of the Electric State, which you'll be able to watch on Netflix on March 14th. Join us next time when we'll dive even deeper into the visual effects and world building of the Electric State. Until then, stay curious. I'm your host, Francesca Amaker. State Secrets, Inside the Making of the Electric State is a production of Netflix and Treefort Media. From Netflix, our executive producers are Catherine Hugh and Ray Vada. For Treefort Media, our executive producer is Kelly Garner. Our series producer is Mary Chalenza. Our co-producer is Lisa Ammerman. Our lead editor is Martin Applebaum, engineered by Matt Dyson, and our associate producer is Aidan Brooks. Special thanks to Marianne Coltai-Levine, Sarah Caruso, Sophia Russo, and the rest of the team at Agbo Films. Be sure to check out Joe and Anthony Russo's video podcast, Pizza Film School, and listen to more from Netflix podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts.